So our next speaker is Payal, and she grew up in India with Jain beliefs and became introduced to Buddhism through her college roommate. So she's found Buddhist practices very beneficial to her life and even gotten her parents interested in them. So Payal's going to be sharing about her journey with Buddhism and what it's taught her.
Thank you. Hi everyone. First of all, thank you so much Madhura and Ritu for inviting me, and it's so great to reconnect. So Madhura hired me in my previous job, so I've known her very closely for a few years now. So Dean and I and Grace, we've been friends for a long time, and Dean already gave you the introduction to Buddhism. So I won't spend a lot of time repeating that, but I'll just share my journey. So I grew up in India. I was born and raised in India. I come from a Jain family. My parents are Jain. I was raised in a very secular environment. I went to a convent school. My friends were almost everyone, like Muslim, Christian, Jain. Like, it never occurred to me like there needed to be any distinction. Like, it was very secular environment that I grew up in, and it was more spiritual than religious. Like, the family that I grew up in, it was like, do good things, don't hurt anybody, have right intentions, be kind. So those kind of beliefs. So I was not like into any specific like rituals or anything, but I believed in what religion I come from, which is like Jainism, and it speaks a lot about non-violence, and I follow the Nakar mantra and all of that. Then I came to US for my grad school, and then my roommate used to practice Buddhism. So I used to wonder, like, what does she do every day? Like, she has this scroll, and like Dean was explaining, she chants some mantra to it, and she was like this very tough person, like not like physically, but like emotionally, mentally. She was like an absolutely like confident person, and she had gone through a lot of hardship. Like, she had lost her dad in childhood and early childhood, but she was like this person, like she would not be defeated by anything, like courses, anything, like anything that came her way, she would just fight it with a smile. And I was always intrigued, like what was it that she was doing? So I asked her, what is it that you chant every day, and what is this all about? And then she introduced me to Buddhism, much like how Dean said. She explained me what she was doing, she believed in it, and it gave her that vitality and life force to kind of be the best version of herself. So I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So she's like, yeah, why don't you try it? And I ended up meeting a lot of other friends on campus who were also practicing Buddhism. So I started to engage with them, and I started chanting with them. And I started to feel like I really like the sound of chanting, like Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and you kind of just say that in a repetition. So you just go like Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Like, you just chant that's just one mantra, which is the title of the Lotus Sutra. And the more I learned about the history, I'm like, yeah, of course we all know about Shakyamuni Buddha. We learned about it in school, and his beliefs and what he taught, and how he was a prince. He was born in a very wealthy family, but and his family astrologer had told them that this person is going to become like a Buddha, and he's going to basically leave the palace and leave all these riches. And so his parents had actually kept him away from everything. They never showed him that anybody died. Like, he didn't know. He thought everybody in the world is just happy, and it's just there's no suffering in the world. But eventually he realized that there is suffering, and he went in the quest to find out how to overcome all these sufferings of, he calls them 4 sufferings, like birth, aging, sickness, and death, right? So he was like, this is like, there's so much misery in the world, and how can I help people? How can we overcome it? So he went about to seek that, and he tried all different things, like he went on a fast, didn't eat for several months, and he went and followed some priests. He tried different things, and he couldn't figure out anything. But eventually, he gained enlightenment after several years while he was, just in deep introspection. And he realized that, when he achieved enlightenment, he realized that there is this wisdom he got, which is called the path of middle way, which is you don't get swayed by extreme happiness, you don't go into despair because of a lot of sorrow. And he became this person who could like be in the middle, like no matter what comes, he will be there. He's like this indestructible happiness that he had developed, right? And over the years, so he started teaching people, and he brought about this concept of human revolution, where basically you're going through something and you realize what's wrong in yourself, in the sense, what do you need to change your situation? Not somebody else, but what do you need to do, and take ownership of that, right? So he taught people, and I don't know if some of you have seen, there was a series called Buddha on Sony TV, which I was addicted to. I watched all the episodes. It's amazing. If you get a chance, look it up. But in that, it explains all the various parables and analogies he gives to people to explain them the concepts of Buddhism and how anybody can achieve enlightenment. And enlightenment is not like some state where suddenly you have a halo around you. It's just a state where you realize that you can achieve indestructible happiness where you are right now, and you can help other people achieve that. And it's really inside you. You have that wisdom, courage, compassion inside you. It's a matter of tapping that potential. So it's like, if I want to talk to Ritu, but I keep saying Amar, she's not going to listen to me, right? So Namyo Rengekyo is really you're calling out your inner potential. So when you chant that mantra, you're actually talking to yourself in a way, and you're elevating your life condition. So all these concepts are very interesting to me, and I started chanting. And I actually, obviously as a student, you're chanting to graduate soon and finish your thesis and, get the right job. So I was doing all that, and turned out I kept on doing it, and I became the only 4.0 GPA in my batch. I don't know why. It was a very challenging course. And then I was the first to get my job, and things started falling in place for me, right? Even when I was trying to get a job, and in early 2007, the economy was not that great, and I had just finished chanting for an hour with my friends, and I was just saying, I did do an internship, with a company in the Bay Area, and they had told me that they loved me and I loved them, but shouldn't I be exploring other avenues, etc., etc. But basically, I was stopping myself to even take the action to go and talk to them, right? But after chanting and talking to my friends, they're like, yeah, what's the harm? At least reach out to them. Just do it. And I sat there and I wrote an email. 3 minutes, the CEO responds, when can you join? And he actually was on my case to finish my thesis as soon as possible, because he's like, yo, what are you waiting for? We've been waiting for you. You need to join us ASAP. So that was my first experience in faith, that I just had to really believe in myself. And, with chanting, I actually coupled it with action. It was not just some kind of meditation that gave me peace, but when I coupled it with action and I got the wisdom to do the right things, things started falling in place for me. So in Buddhism, there's this concept of 10 worlds, which I found very fascinating, that we all go in these 10 worlds during our day, which is hell, which is absolute misery, that nothing can improve my situation in life, I'm doomed, right? Then there could be anger. You can always be this person who's always angry at everyone for no reason. Or you can be in a state of hunger, you always want more money, you want, you're never satisfied with your life. You just want more and more and more. And during the day, if you think about it, and then there are also good states. So there are 6 what I call the low states, and then there are 4 high states. And the high states could be you are having for a particular point of time, you're so happy. You ate your favorite ice cream and you're oh, I'm in heaven, right? And then the highest state is called Buddhahood. And that's what was, when Buddha was saying that he got enlightenment and that everybody can achieve that. What is that state of Buddhahood? So state of Buddhahood is where you have this sense of tranquility, but more than that, this indestructible happiness, not fleeting happiness which depends on external circumstances, but happiness from within, which is absolute, that no matter what, I'm going to be happy, I am happy, and I can help other people achieve that state of life. I don't get defeated by my external situation. So that concept was super fascinating, of all the concepts. And then also another concept that really helped me in my life was turning poison into medicine, and that's winter always turns to spring. So you may go through a rough patch, but that when you chant and you get in rhythm with the universe, that's what we say, when you chant, you fall in rhythm with the universe and things start aligning and manifesting. You can overcome any situation and you can transform it. And I feel like I've done that innumerable number of times in my life. I can share some personal story. So I moved to Bay Area in 2007. funny enough, I forgot all about the practice because I didn't really become like a member of the Soka Gakkai organization or have my own scroll that I could chant to. I used to just go to my friend's place and chant with them. So I forgot about it for a couple of years. That one day I just woke up and I said, why am I not chanting? Like, what happened to me? And then I called my friend, hi, I'm like, you gotta put me in touch with somebody who's chanting. And she did, of course. And I reconnected and I found so many people who were chanting and I immediately became a member. And then some of the experiences I had were like, in my first job, I think it was 2010. Yeah, I had a very difficult coworker who somehow just disliked me. Like, she just come to meetings and say, I don't know what Payal does. I don't know what her team does. And I'm like, what happened to this person? Like, my manager would come and say, we all know what Payal does. She has a team of 4 people reporting to her. This is their charter. This is what they do. And then this continued for a while. And I'm like, I don't even really know this person. She stays in Arizona. I'm in Bay Area. I've not even met her. I don't know what's going on with her. So I asked other people, I'm like, is something going on? Like, why is she like so in a bad mood most of the times? And they were like, oh, it's not you. She's in a bad mood all the time. I'm like, okay, that's not great. So then I talked to other people who I was practicing with. And I'm like, does anybody have any guidance? Like, what should I do in this situation? Because something's bothering her. Like, she's suffering, clearly. And that's coming out in different ways. So they're like, you need to chant for her happiness. And I'm like, but she hates me. And I need to chant for her happiness. And they're like, yeah, you need to chant for her happiness because she's unhappy. And that's why that's what's reflecting in her environment. So in Buddhism, there's also a concept of you are not separate from your environment. Like, whatever is happening around you is also trying to teach you something. And it's a reflection, basically, of your own self. So I really started chanting for her happiness. I have no clue what's going on in her life. I'm not like a friend, or I'm not even in the same office that I can go and, talk to her. So I started chanting for her that I really want this person to be happy. Her name was Brenda, I still remember. So I said, I really want Brenda to be happy. I don't know what's going on with her, but I'm chanting for her happiness. So that was in one of my, so every morning when I chant, I have like a list of prayers. And in that I added that I want Brenda to be really happy, truly happy, absolutely happy. Believe it or not, in 1 month, she found a job as a VP at PF Chang's and she moved out. And she was just a technical program manager over here. So from a program manager, she became a VP somewhere else. So that told me that, okay, she was probably unhappy with her job and she probably deserved much better. And that's why she was like, so riled up. And I couldn't believe when others told me to chant for her happiness. But it was actual proof. And then this was like in the beginning of my practice that, wow, like this practice is not just about yourself and your happiness. You actually care for other people's happiness too. So that was like a learning for me. Fast forward a few years, another experience that was actually a turning point for me was when I had to rush to India because my dad fell sick. And something was not right, and I felt like I need to go. So I rushed to India. And yeah, he was sick and he was dealing with something. And my parents are doctors, so I've really never seen them as being in the shoes of a patient or like sick. So it was kind of very new to me. But I could see like his life condition was not like his usual self. Like he was a bit defeated by whatever he was dealing with. So I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound like him. So I used to chant and my parents knew I was chanting. So when I went, I started chanting every day, every morning, every night, like I used to. And my parents loved it. And every night my dad would say, oh, please chant so I can fall asleep. I'm like, wow, okay. Like he loved it so much. He was like, I'm gonna record you chanting so when you go I can listen to it. I'm like, Dad, you can listen to it on YouTube too. But I was just amazed to see like, how much they were feeling impacted by it. So I kept on chanting and I was very like regular. And I had this life condition, just kind of very unique, where I know my dad was sick, but I was so convinced that he's gonna be all right. Like I would be, Dad, you're gonna be fine. Like, come on, you're a doctor. Like you've treated people who are dying, and this is nothing. And just that, I would say encouragement or my life force. Like I was so optimistic and like so full of, and like never give up spirit that it kind of, in a week he was much better, and everything seemed like normal and nothing had ever gone wrong. And then turns out we found that both my parents needed eye surgery, and both of them needed eye surgery in both their eyes. So I'm like, okay, that's something. So we got that set up. You would think eye surgery is a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal, right? But before the surgery, we were taking selfies as if it was some celebration. Like, because that's the life force I kind of brought, is what my parents say. And then it was like their anniversary after the surgery, and we're cutting cake with them wearing black glasses. It's like some kind of, like, there's no seriousness about the surgery. I mean, there is, but when they're in their gowns going to a surgery, like, who's taking selfies? Usually people would not do that. But we were in that kind of a mind frame. So that happened, that went well. Then I was gonna fly back, and suddenly my mom got extremely sick, and she had to be rushed to the hospital. Like, in those 20 minutes, we were like, don't know what's gonna happen, like, we don't know what's happening, she can barely breathe, something's gone wrong. And then we went to the hospital, and then of course she was on oxygen, and 1 week she was in the hospital. And she used to tell me, why are you watching TV? Why are you not chanting? And I'm like, okay, mom. So I would chant till like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. sitting next to her. And I mean, there was something that was happening, but I just didn't know, and I just kept chanting. And then within a week, she got much better, came home, recovered. And then by the time I had stayed like for 6 weeks in India, luckily, like, you know, my manager was supportive, everything worked out, I could take the 6 weeks off. And then in the last day when I was about to leave, my dad's like, well, this wasn't quite a vacation, like, we didn't even really go out for dinner once, like, this was really all hospital visits and some kind of a trip that, you know, you wouldn't plan for, but still it was one of the most joyful trips that you've been out here. And I'm like, I cannot agree more. Like, we've actually had more fun, or like, we've been more alive, together than before. So that was amazing. And then my mom said that when I was in the hospital and you were chanting, I felt like there's truckloads of negative energy just going out of the window. And I was like, wow, like, I didn't know that. Like, I mean, so then I realized that, oh, it really touched my parents' life. And then I came back on March 16th, which is a significant day in Nichiren Buddhism. It's called Kosen Ruku Day. And I had actually made a whole list of goals toward March 16th, but then I had spent like 6 weeks in India, and so I was like, oh, well, let me go look at my goals. I'm sure I didn't probably think about my goals because I was busy with all of this. But believe it or not, my first goal in there was good health for mom and dad. So then I was like, well, I did achieve the most important goals. So, you know, it wasn't what I was thinking, that I didn't achieve any of them. But that whole experience was like a turning point, and my faith really deepened since that point. And I really felt like I had converted poison into medicine. Like, I had gone in where, you know, everybody was in a funk, the situation was not good, a lot of these medical things happened. But everybody was, you know, vibrant and in good health by the time I came back. And over the years, I've had many, many such experiences. But most importantly, I think Buddhism has broadened my perspective in life. Like, I have met so many different people from so many different backgrounds, like not just Indians, like almost every ethnicity, race that I could think of, you know, practicing Buddhism, and heard their life stories. And I realized what kind of problems people have. First of all, you develop a sense of appreciation for your own life, because you feel sometimes that, oh my God, I have all the problems in the world. And then you talk to 100 people and you realize, first of all, you need to appreciate what you have, because people have a lot worse problems and they can face those problems. So what are you crying about? So there's another concept in Buddhism which says complaint erases fortune. So that one I remember or remind myself daily when I'm complaining. I'm like, nope, you chanted for 1 hour. Now you're going to complain for 1 hour, nullified. Right? Like, when you're chanting, you're kind of building your fortune, you are tapping that innate potential within yourself, and now you're complaining, you're erasing all of it. Like, either you have faith or you don't have faith. You can't be in between, right? So it's a good reminder, like these concepts I keep reading, like Dean was saying, faith, practice, study are the 3 concepts or 3 pillars of Buddhism. So I keep studying as well to kind of refresh these ideals. And yeah, so that's been my journey. I would say more than religion, it's a way of life for me. Like, it's not like I converted in the sense I didn't like stop going to temples. Like, I believe in all gods. But most importantly, what I like about Buddhism is it says you don't need to depend on an external entity and just worry that somebody's going to do something for you and magically things will fall in place. But you have that potential within yourself, and you need to bring that out, which is your highest state, which is, you know, where you have so much wisdom, so much courage, compassion, life force, that you can transform any situation, and you can have like, you can decide, like, take responsibility for your life, not like somebody else will do it for me. And that's what I really like the best. And I definitely feel that with chanting I'm able to do that with my life, and I'm a better person with it. So yeah, that's my experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Payal, for sharing your story.
Question.
Yeah.
I heard that a lot of Americans, Buddhism fits with them because it's a freedom, and I heard that one place 9% of Americans are following Buddhism.
Oh
I
wow.
don't know
Okay.
whether, I mean, I was surprised. I said, wow, that's a lot. Again, when somebody's, just like you say, somebody is following Buddhism does not have to be, there is no conversion in Buddhism. You
It's
just follow.
individual. Like I know a lot of people who were like Hindu or Catholics, but they stopped following that and now they only follow Buddhism. For me, it is more of a way of life, and I follow Buddhism as a way of life. I don't view it as a religion, honestly. I view it as a way of life, and what are the principles? How can I be better? How can I make this world a better place? So those are my goals in life. So it fits perfectly because it helps me become a better version of myself. Yeah. Yes.
Can we hire you for chanting for us?
My parents asked me the same thing, and then I'm like, why don't you chant for yourselves? But chanting, like any prayer, really only works when you do it from your heart, right? But I do chant a lot for a lot of my friends who don't necessarily chant. But yeah, I do. Like I have a long list of people I chant for. Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.